Part 37. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chaoji Depang. Chapter 365. Chen Ronghuo felt the breath of the law of calamity flowing into his body this time, and his mind was slightly moved. Because he cultivated too much law power, his cultivation speed was much slower than others. The reason why he broke into the middle stage of the fifth stage after breaking through to the fifth stage last time was largely because he used the hands of the Holy Tiger sect to destroy the base camp of the Divine Tiger sect. At the same time, he also let Fat Cat swallow a 6th level tiger demon. The breath of the law of calamity obtained by the Holy Tiger sect shrunk a lot. The 6th level tiger demon he let Fat Cat swallow was captured by the Holy Tiger sect, so it actually shrunk a lot. After experiments, Chen Ronghuo knew that only the breath of the law of calamity obtained by himself, or by his subordinates who helped him obtain it according to his instructions, would not shrink. It was precisely because of this that the breath of the law of calamity he had obtained before only allowed him to break through from the early fifth stage to the middle fifth stage. However, after breaking through to the middle stage of the fifth stage, Chen Ronghuo killed Lan Yuan and captured the Blue Whale leader, and had accumulated a lot of breath of the law of calamity. Lan Yuan is a peak 5th stage cultivator. With the secret treasure in his hand and the burning power of faith, he can exert the strength of a strong half-step 6th stage cultivator. In addition, Chen Ronghuo subdued the Blue Whale leader, so the breath of the law of calamity he obtained was almost the same as if he had killed a strong half-step 6th stage cultivator with his own hands. In addition, Chen Ronghuo and his men had just killed Lu Mei and Mu Yuan respectively, and occupied their territories, which also allowed him to obtain a considerable amount of breath of the law of calamity. Although the breath of the law of calamity Chen Ronghuo obtained from the two people was not as much as he obtained by killing Lan Yuan because their cultivation was not as good as Lan Yuan, it was almost the same as if he had killed two weak half-step 6th stage cultivators with his own hands. However, the power of faith he obtained from Lan Yuan, Lu Mei, and Mu Yuan, even if combined, was not as much as the power of faith he obtained from subduing Wu Piaoyun this time. As his mind moved slightly, Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed, and his gaze fell on the possessed demon who had given up struggling and was looking at him with pitiful eyes. Chen Ronghuo's eyes were deep. Be obedient, you can suffer less, understand? The possessed demon stared at Chen Ronghuo, not daring to say a word. This guy is not stupid, Chen Ronghuo frowned. He saw that the possessed demon didn't say anything, and he put his hands together and pulled the possessed demon into a thin line again. Understand? Understand, oh, understand. The possessed demon's facial features were all pulled apart, and there was no trace of human form. He finally reacted and shouted hoarsely. Bastard! You're dead. You actually want to control me with the soul secret technique. I don't think you know that I am the ancestor of playing with soul power. I will pretend to surrender now, and when you plant the secret technique in my soul and let me go, I will immediately remove the secret technique and control that waste to leave here again. You wait for me, when my cultivation recovers a little, it will be the day you die. The possessed demon showed a flattering expression, while thinking viciously in his heart. Whoosh! Just as he thought so, a dark divine light suddenly shot out from Chen Ronghuo's forehead, turned into a strange mark, and rushed into his soul sea. This divine light was exactly the soul light that Chen Ronghuo separated. The 33 days soul calming technique is a very magical secret technique. When Chen Ronghuo uses this secret technique, he can separate up to 33 soul lights from his soul. However, after separating these soul lights, Chen Ronghuo's soul will only be weak for a short period of time, and then it will recover and will not be harmed. However, with his current cultivation, he can only control 3 soul lights at most. At the same time, the more soul lights you want to separate, the more difficult it is to use the secret technique. Chen Ronghuo wanted to perform it completely, and even if he wanted to deduce the secret art from the ancient book, the energy he would spend was not something he could afford now. So in fact, Chen Ronghuo had only cultivated the 33 days soul calming art to the 3rd level in the past 3 years. However, the 3rd level of the soul calming art was enough to control the possessed demon. Buzz. After Chen Ronghuo's soul light rushed into the soul sea of the possessed demon, it immediately shook and turned into a huge shadow of the virtual sky interwoven with countless strange runes. As soon as this large shadow of the virtual sky appeared, it seemed to merge with the entire soul sea of the possessed demon. How could it be? After sensing this scene, the possessed demon's head was stunned. Although he did not cultivate the soul law, he was also proficient in the soul secret art. As soon as Chen Ronghuo's secret art was revealed, he felt the extraordinariness of this secret art. He found that he could only see a small part of the infinite runes evolved from Chen Ronghuo's soul light. He had never seen most of the runes. No. He began to struggle and felt the troops. If this continued, he would most likely be controlled by Chen Ronghuo through this strange secret technique. He was the great heavenly demon. He would never allow. What did you say? Feeling the struggle of the possessed demon, Chen Ronghuo immediately tightened his grip on the possessed demon and squeezed the possessed demon into a dark ball again. Although the 33 days soul calming secret technique was powerful, the object of its use must not resist. The possessed demon subconsciously spoke, I said. He was only halfway through his words when he suddenly stopped talking as if he had thought of a certain scene. Bang! Although he stopped struggling, Chen Ronghuo still raised his right hand and slammed the ball that the possessed demon had been clenched into. Say it again, I didn't hear it clearly. Chen Ronghuo said lightly. Bastard, no one, dares to threaten our demon clan like this. The possessed demon went crazy. Speak. Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed with the kind of light that a child suddenly saw like a toy. Seeing Chen Ronghuo's eyes, the possessed demon immediately shivered. The light in Chen Ronghuo's eyes was no different from that of a devil in his eyes. At the same time, the resistance he had just raised also disappeared in an instant under Chen Ronghuo's gaze. As the possessed demon stopped resisting, the infinite runes evolved from Chen Ronghuo's soul light immediately penetrated into the entire soul sea of the possessed demon and merged with the soul sea of the possessed demon. When everything was over, Chen Ronghuo tried to communicate with the large runes in the soul sea of the possessed demon with his consciousness. The runes immediately vibrated gently. As the runes vibrated, the possessed demon was stunned, as if the whole person had lost consciousness at this moment. Feeling this scene, Chen Ronghuo's face showed a little satisfaction. Whoosh! Then he waved his hand and threw the possessed demon in front of Wu Piaoun. Take it, he will no longer compete with you for the dominance of the body. Thank you, Lord. Wu Piaoun hurriedly bowed respectfully. He was excited. The things that had troubled him for many years were solved so quickly in the hands of Chen Ronghuo. But he also felt bitter in his heart. Originally, he still regarded Chen Ronghuo as an opponent. But now, he has become Chen Ronghuo's subordinate. Huh. After handing the possessed demon to Wu Piaoun, Chen Ronghuo exhaled lightly. This time he took down the Wooding League in one fell swoop, which will definitely cause a shock to the entire Deep Blue Sea. Once other forces in the Deep Blue Sea learn of the news, they will most likely unite and come to get rid of him at all costs. So his top priority now is to improve his strength as soon as possible. Fortunately, the huge breadth of the Law of Calamity he obtained this time should be able to help him improve his cultivation to the late 5th stage. And once he improves his cultivation to the late 5th stage, he will use the power of the Disaster Pearl and burn the power of Faith at the same time, and most likely he will be able to exert the strength that is truly comparable to that of a 6th level cultivator. If he cooperates with the big river crab at that time, there will be few people in the entire Deep Blue Sea who can be his opponent. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 366. Boom. After dealing with Wu Piaoun, Chen Ronghuo took away all the divine attributes in Wu Piaoun's noble seal and his lord statue, and then rushed to Mingxiao Island with Dehexi. In order to save time, Dehexi and Hosan only left the devil mermaid there after killing Mu Yuan, the lord of Mingxiao Island. They did not bring the people of Mingxiao Island with them. Dehexi traveled quickly in the sea, like a huge fortress on the sea. At this time, the huge battle sounds that broke out in the successive battles have spread throughout the deep blue sea. All forces in the deep blue sea have turned their attention here. Report to the Lord. In the Wanliu League, Wanliu territory, a middle-aged man dressed like a general said solemnly to the person sitting on the Lord's throne, "All the spies we deployed near the crab territory have lost contact." At the same time, the spies near the Mingxiao territory, the ancient crocodile territory, and the Wooding territory have all lost contact. And there is no news from the multiple bases we deployed outside. Lost contact? How could it be lost? Even if it was lost, how could it be lost? Lu Qintao, the leader of the Wanliu League and also the lord of the Wanliu territory, knocked on the armrest, showing a puzzled look. In the land of sealed demons, the disciples of the major forces all have sound transmission boxes in their hands. You can use the sound transmission box to quickly transmit messages. But this thing does not exist on the continent of the gods. At least, there is no sound transmission box in the deep blue sea area. So most of the spies deployed outside by the major territories use the 1,000-mile sound transmission node to transmit messages. However, the 1,000-mile sound transmission node can only transmit messages within 1,000 miles. If it is farther away, a base must be set up. At the same time, because there are some small territories near the major territories. Therefore, the spies deployed by Qian Liudao usually disguise themselves as ordinary people and hide in various small territories. Once there is any situation in the major territories, they will come back to report immediately. He couldn't figure out who could be so powerful that he could uproot the spies he deployed near the major territories in a short time. Even the hidden bases he deployed were cleared out. Traitor. Lu Qintao thought silently. He couldn't think of who else could find all those spies except for the traitor in the top management of his territory. However, what Lu Qintao didn't know was that at this moment, the lords of the other 8 territories in the deep blue sea also raised the same question as him. The other 8 territories encountered almost the same situation as him. They also encountered the same doubts as him. Wow! Ming Beast territory. Chen Ronghuo took his left hand away from Mu Yuan's lord statue, and as the wind blew, the entire lord statue turned into gravel and scattered all over the ground. However, the divine attributes and the remaining power of faith in the lord statue had been taken away by him. The only regret was that because of the delay for too long, after Mu Yuan died, the divine attributes in the noble mark hidden in his body had disappeared. So he could only draw some of Mu Yuan's unique attributes from him and store them in the attribute space as a backup. Soon, when I conquer all the forces in the deep blue sea, I should be able to be promoted to Marquis. Chen Ronghuo murmured to himself in his heart. The Earl can only keep 40% of the power of faith he obtained. And the Marquis can keep 50% of the power of faith he obtained. The difference of 10% is not a small amount for Chen Ronghuo now. Hurry up, speed up. Don't worry, we have already built houses in Hexi territory. After you move over, everyone will have a place to live. Under the command of Chen Ronghuo's army, the people of Mingxiao Island quickly poured into Hexi territory. There are millions of people in Mingxiao Island and Guiyang Island. It is also a big project to transfer all these people to Hexi territory. Chen Ronghuo flew to the sky, took a few glances at the scene of the whole island moving, calculated with ancient books, and knew that there should be no major problems for the time being, so he flashed and returned to the back of the big river crab. Retreat. After returning to the Lord's mansion, he immediately began to retreat. As for Mingxiao Island and the remaining Guiyang Island, he no longer needed to worry about it. He trained his subordinates, not to let them be termites. 5 stage late stage. Sitting in the secret room, Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed. Just after he started his retreat, he was sure that he would be able to break through to the 5th stage in one fell swoop. And with the powerful breath of the law of calamity, his breakthrough would take at most a few hours. In order to prevent any more trouble, Chen Ronghuo decided to attack other territories directly after his breakthrough. After the big river crab broke through, the space of the earth plane it refined was further expanded. In addition, Chen Ronghuo built high-rise buildings inside, so he now has everything except the people. Purple Moon Alliance, Purple Moon Territory. Lord Bing, the spies we sent out before have sent back news. According to the spies' report, the big river crab in the river crab territory is now beside the bright beast territory, transferring the people of the bright beast territory to its back. At the same time, traces of people from the river crab territory have also appeared in the ancient crocodile territory and wooding territory. Feng Ziu, the lord of Zio territory, sat quietly on his throne, listening to his subordinates' reports, frowning slightly. He said in disbelief, "You mean, Wu Piao's wooding territory has been taken down by Chen Ronghuo?" The subordinate who came to report lowered his head slightly and did not dare to answer. Seeing this scene, Feng Ziu's brows frowned even tighter. If this is true, then this matter is really big. He has fought with Wu Piaon and knows Wu Piaon's strength. If even the 3 territories of Wooding League were taken down by Chen Ronghuo overnight, then if Chen Ronghuo attacked again, how many other territories in their deep blue sea would be able to withstand Chen Ronghuo's attack? Feng Ziu rubbed his eyebrows. The 4 major alliances in the deep blue sea are Wooding League, Kishan League, their Zio League, and Wanliu League. Now that Wooding League has been destroyed, there are only 3 alliances left in the deep blue sea. Each of the remaining 3 alliances is composed of 3 adjacent territories. I wonder if Shi Wenhai can stop the crab territory. Feng Ziu thought in his heart. Shi Wenhai is the leader of the Red Sky Alliance. He is also the recognized strongest person in the deep blue sea. He was the only practitioner who reached the 6th level before Wu Piaoun broke through. Report. At this moment, a guard suddenly walked in. The Red Sky territory has an envoy who wants to see the Lord. An envoy from the Red Sky territory? Feng Ziu was startled. He pondered in his heart and said, "Ask him in." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 367. The envoy from the Red Sky leader has met the feudal lord. A long-faced practitioner walked into Feng Ziu's reception hall. Why did Shi Wenhai ask you to come here? Feng Ziu sat on the lord's throne and asked calmly. My lord asked me to give this item to the feudal lord. The long-faced practitioner took out a wooden box and opened it, revealing a glowing red talisman and a white bead pressed on top of the talisman. Feng Ziu glanced at the 2 objects and frowned slightly. He recognized the glowing red talisman. This is a rare liaison. After activation, it allows practitioners to communicate within hundreds of thousands of miles, can be used multiple times, and can even allow multiple people to communicate. But he couldn't tell what the white bead was. Feng Ziu moved his lips slightly and transmitted the message to one of his subordinates. After receiving his order, the subordinate immediately stepped forward and took the wooden box from the messenger's hand. Then he pulled out the contact talisman from under the white bead and sent it to Feng Ziu with the power of his soul. But he did not present the white bead that exuded a strange aura to Feng Ziu. The envoy from Kishan leader below saw this scene, lowered his head slightly and said nothing. As the lord of Zio territory, it is normal for Feng Ziu to be so cautious. Buzz. After Feng Ziu took the contact talisman, he activated it with a thought. The red light flashed on the contact talisman, as if it had come alive. At the same time, a number representing 10 appeared on the talisman. When Feng Ziu saw the number 10 appearing on the talisman, he immediately raised his eyebrows slightly. This number means that 10 people, including him, are communicating through a set of communication symbols at this time. But the feudal lord has arrived. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the contact talisman. When Feng Ziu heard this voice, he immediately knew that it was coming from Xuanhuan, the leader of the Red Sky territory. At the same time, he has also guessed that the other 9 people displayed on the contact talisman are mostly lords of other territories in the deep blue sea. He nodded slightly and said, "It's me." Immediately, Xuanhui's voice continued, "Now that everyone is here, let me tell you the purpose of my contact with everyone this time. Everyone must be aware of the fact that Wu Dingmeng was just captured by Hexia Island. This time, it can be said that everyone and I have encountered the biggest crisis in history. If Chen Ronghuo of Hexian Island can capture Wu Dingmeng overnight, he can also capture any of our territories. Like me, you are all Earl-level lords of the Deep Blue Sea. I don't think any of you are willing to give up your territory and run away alone, right?" Lu Qintao, who led Wanliu, said solemnly, "Of course we don't want to do this, but this time Chen Ronghui captured Wu Dingmeng overnight. With his strength, as long as he takes action, except for you, senior brother, there will be no one among us people will be his opponents." "Brother Lu, you are wrong." Xuanhui shook his head and said, "Even I am definitely no match for Chen Ronghuo. According to my speculation, based on the news that Chen Ronghuo had heard during the battle between Wu Dingling and Wu Piaoun, the strength displayed by the two of them at that time might have been comparable to that of a 6th-level cultivator." 6th-level cultivator? How is this possible? "Brother, what do you mean?" Wu Piaoun broke through to the 6th level in half a step, and then burned the power of faith to exert a strength comparable to that of a 6th-level cultivator, and he is still no match for Chen Ronghao. Everyone was in disbelief. At the same time, the future feels more difficult to control. Among them, only Xuanhui is a half-step 6th-level cultivator, so only Xuanhui is the most sensitive to battles between 6th-level cultivators. If I'm not wrong, that's probably the case. Xuanhui said calmly. Everyone was silent for a while. If Chen Ronghuo can really display a strength comparable to that of a 6th-level cultivator, then even if all of them join forces and attack Chen Ronghuo together, it will probably be of no use. After all, they are not like Chen Ronghuo who can run around with their own territory. In this case, they may really have no choice but to give up their territory and escape alone. So I wonder if senior brother will contact us this time, but what method can we use to deal with Chen Ronghuo? Suddenly, Feng Ziu asked. "I do have a way." Xuanhui's voice came from the contact talisman. "I wonder if you still remember what day tomorrow is." "Tomorrow? Senior brother, are you talking about the spiritual tide erupting?" "It's useless. Every time the spiritual tide breaks out in that ruins, a large number of treasures will be washed out. But now that the river crab leader is watching with eager eyes, we are afraid that we have no time." All the lords shook their heads. Xuanhui interrupted everyone and said, "Of course I know that it is too late to deal with Chen Ronghuo with the treasures rushed out from the ancient ruins, but what I want to say is not this, but, does anyone still remember Gu Yuan?" "Gu Yuan?" Senior brother is talking about Gu Yuan, who is known as the double master of talisman arrays. Didn't he forcefully enter the ruins when the spiritual tide broke out 30 years ago and never come out again? Everyone was a little surprised, wondering why Xuanhui mentioned Gu Yuan. "I was trapped in that ruin for 30 years, but fortunately, a year ago, I found another passage and escaped from that ruin." Suddenly, a somewhat hoarse strange voice sounded from the contact symbol. "Gu Yuan?" Everyone was shocked when they heard this voice. Except for the 3 territories of Wooding League destroyed by Chen Ronghuo, there are only 9 Earl-level territories left in the Deep Blue Sea. At first, everyone felt a little confused, wondering why the contact symbol showed that there were 10 people. But as Gu Yuan spoke, they understood everything. Master Gu not only came out of that ruins, but also broke through to the 6th level. Xuanhuan began to explain. At the same time, Master Gu also gained another fortune in that ruins, and took a step forward in the formation. What I said before, the way to counter or even eliminate Chen Ronghuo is for Master Gu to set up a formation and gather the islands where I and you are, to form a big island. Then we can also move our islands in the deep blue sea like Chen Ronghuo's Crab Island. How is this possible? The farthest island in our several territories is tens of thousands of miles away. At this time, Gu Yuan's voice suddenly rang out, nothing is impossible. As long as you give me the white bead and drive it into the core of your island, I can control the 9 islands and quickly gather them together. White bead. A mere bead can have such an effect? I wonder if Master Gu can tell me the origin of this bead. In a mansion in Qishan territory, Gu Yuan, wearing a white robe, stroked a pure black bead in his hand and explained lightly, I got this bead from the ruins. There are exactly 9 of them. It is a special treasure that can be used as the core of the formation and has miraculous effects. But I don't know where it came from. After hearing Gu Yuan's explanation, everyone was silent. The 9 islands united as one is equivalent to 9 islands forming a huge alliance. But once this alliance is formed, who will lead it? However, if they don't agree, then facing Chen Ronghuo, they probably have no choice but to abandon their own territory. A few hours passed in a flash. In the river crab territory, Chen Ronghuo opened his eyes in the secret room and slowly exhaled. Under the effect of a large amount of the breath of the law of calamity, he finally broke through to the late 5th stage in these few hours. The road of cultivation is really too difficult. Chen Ronghuo shook his head and sighed. After reaching the 5th stage, he was stuck in a small realm for 3 years. Although for others, advancing a small realm in 3 years is already very fast, but Chen Ronghuo still feels unsatisfied. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 368. An invisible wave swept across the deep blue sea. The sea stirred up huge waves. Centered on Qishanling, the 9 islands including Wanliuling, Xiuling, Kongshanling, Hongyunling, and Qinfanling all emitted a huge roar at this moment. Immediately, a majestic force burst out from the core of the 9 huge territorial islands, causing the foundation of the islands to break away from the seabed. Boom! Then under the influence of the sweeping invisible waves, the 9 islands began to move from stillness to motion, faster and faster, and gathered towards the Qishan leader. However, during the gathering process, the 9 islands all deviated somewhat. Faintly condensed into a sharp angle, pointed in the direction of the river crab collar. Success. Qishanling, an old man wearing a white robe, stood in the sky above a huge tornado vortex formed in the center of Qishanling, holding a black bead in his hand and muttering to himself. This person is none other than Gu Yuan, who is known as the double master of formation and talisman. He lowered his head and glanced at the dark beads in his hand, with a trace of satisfaction in his eyes. This jet black bead, as well as the white bead he drove into the core of the Red Sky territory, and the white beads he sent to the lords of the other 8 territories, were all obtained by him in that huge ruins. Among them, the 9 white beads are all made of 1 white bead. But after he activated the white bead, he unexpectedly found that it could turn into multiple beads, and each bead had a huge increase in the formation's formation, and could be used as an formation eye. Then he suddenly came up with this idea. He didn't know the origins of the black beads and the white beads. But this does not prevent him from using this treasure to achieve his own goals. When the formation is completed and the river crab territory is taken, the entire deep blue sea will be mine. He put away the black beads and took Qi Tianling into his eyes indifferently. The lords of the 9 territories, including Lord Qishan, are just his pawns. As a 6th level cultivator, he is already qualified to occupy the deep blue sea. The sky has changed. Escape, escape. The Wuding League has just undergone a change. How come the Scarlet Sky League, the Wanliu League, and the Zeo League have also experienced changes? One by one, the underwater monsters felt this huge wave and fled into the distance. In the deep blue sea, there are actually some 5th level monsters. But this time, the 9 islands mutated at the same time. When the 9 islands gathered together, they also rushed towards the river crab leader. Even those demons who had reached the 5th level of cultivation did not dare to seek death to stop them. At the late 5th level, if I burn the power of faith and add the pearl of disaster, I should have no problem against an ordinary 6th level cultivator. At the same time, in the river crab collar, Chen Ronghuo slowly opened his eyes in the secret room. Then, next is, the Lord of Dark Blue. He stood up, the power of his soul surged out, and the door to the secret room opened spontaneously. After he walked out of the secret room, the door automatically closed again without any wind. Meow. As soon as Chen Ronghuo walked to the square of the Lord's mansion, the fat cat turned into a fat bolt of lightning and fell into his arms. It raised its chin and looked at Chen Ronghuo with a pitiful expression on its round face. Master, it's time for us to go back to the land of crazy demons. You promised me to help me catch a 6th level dragon. Demonic. Previously, Chen Ronghuo and Dai Xie cooperated to fight Wu Piaoun, and the powerful power they displayed made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Why is it that it is not the one that perfectly matches Chen Ronghuo, but the big river crab? It was the first one to get angry with Chen Rong. Its current mood feels the same as the first wife's mood when looking at the mistress in the story Chen Ronghuo told. Of course, the most important thing is that after the big river crab had an intimate play with Chen Ronghuo, he began to mention this matter repeatedly in front of it, which was so irritating that it almost went crazy and suffered from depression. I know, I will take you back after I finish my work here. Don't worry, this time it will be really fast. Chen Ronghuo touched the fat cat's smooth and supple back and said comfortingly. However, although these words were comforting, Chen Ronghuo also knew that it was really time for him to return to the demon-sealed land and the Holy Tiger sect. 8 years have passed since he announced his retreat in the Holy Tiger sect until now. If he doesn't go back, I'm afraid some people will find his yard and violently break open the door of his retreat. In addition, he wanted to return to the Holy Tiger sect because the territory of Shenyang had changed a lot during this period. Before, he was too weak and was just a pawn. But now that his cultivation has reached the late 5th level, he can already participate in some things and gain benefits that will help him make rapid progress. With these thoughts in mind, Chen Ronghuo released his soul power and suddenly discovered that the big river crab had returned to Wuding Island from the 2 islands of Mingxiao Island and Ancient Crocodile Island. And the people on Wuding Island are being transferred to the river crab plain. Quick, everyone, stand in a team. There were soldiers running around the city organizing. Whenever a team of hundreds of people appears, Zhu Daipen, Li Haishui and other 5th level practitioners will take action, use their own strength to arrest these people, and send them away directly from the plain entrance on the back of the big river crab. Go in. Because of the prior preparation, the speed of the transfer of the people in Wuding territory was obviously much faster than that of the people in Mingxiao Island and Gaiying Island. Chen Ronghuo sensed for a while and then withdrew his soul power. I wonder what the other 9 territories are like now. Chen Ronghuo's mind moved, and he used the ancient book to calculate the reaction of the 9 territories including Kishan territory after learning that he had taken down Wuding League. Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo raised his eyebrows fiercely, revealing a hint of surprise. The lords of the 9 territories are approaching me, and they are approaching me with their respective territories. How is this possible? Chen Ronghuo narrowed his eyes and began to further calculate the cause of the matter. 6th level cultivator, 6th level formation master. After a moment, Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed. Through the calculation of the ancient book, he calculated the cause of this matter, which was a 6th level cultivator pushing it. At the same time, the 6th level cultivator also used a powerful treasure. However, as to who that person was and what his true ability was, he shook his head after sensing and calculating, which required a lot of energy accumulated by the ancient book itself, and did not continue. It seems that this time, there will be some trouble. However, if a 6th level cultivator is captured, the gains can be greater. Chen Ronghuo thought to himself. Lord. Suddenly, Zhen Qinzan, who was dressed in white and had white hair and a refined appearance, walked over from a distance with a rare look of urgency on his face. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 369. Lord, do you feel anything wrong? Zhen Qinzan came over and said immediately. No. Chen Ronghuo raised his eyebrows, thinking of Zhen Qinzan's identity as a formation master, and replied, now the islands where the 9 territories of Qishan territory, Wanliu territory, Zhou territory are located are under the cover of a huge formation, converging together, and are heading towards our Hexi territory. Is this what you mean? Formation. Zhen Qinzan's face changed instantly when he heard it. It is true. Then he quickly asked, Lord, do you know the strength of the person who set up the formation? If I'm not wrong, that person should be in the early 6th stage, Chen Ronghuo said, but I don't know his specific strength. Early 6th stage? Zhen Qinzan frowned. Lord, if possible, I suggest that we leave here immediately. I know that with the Lord's strength, he can probably fight against a 6th level early stage cultivator. With Wu Piaoun, our territory can fight against 2 6th level early stage cultivators. But the person who set up the formation, with the power of the formation, I am afraid that he can exert the strength comparable to that of a 6th level mid-stage cultivator, or even stronger. Oh! Chen Ronghuo showed a surprised look. Do you know that person? I don't know that person. Zhen Qinzan shook his head, but... Halfway through his words, Zhen Qinzan was silent for a while, and suddenly turned his hand to take out his formation true disc. But, I can sense that the person who set up the formation, set up this large formation covering 9 islands, all the formation eyes are exactly the 2 beads missing from my secret treasure. This secret treasure of mine only recognizes the people of our Zhen family as the main. But if there is someone with a good talent in the formation, this secret treasure will also allow him to slightly control it. The 2 beads missing from the formation disc? Chen Ronghuo was startled when he heard this. When he first got this treasure, the Zhendao Zhenpan, from Shuejun, he already knew that this treasure was missing something, but he didn't expect that this time he would encounter the 2 missing beads in the Zhendao Zhenpan in the deep blue sea. I wonder how much use those 2 beads will have on you. Chen Ronghuo looked at Zhen Qinzan. It's very useful, Zhen Qinzan said solemnly. The 2 beads are blessed by our Zhen family ancestors, and can help the younger generation to speed up their cultivation. After I activate them, the speed of my cultivation may be several times faster than now. Hearing Zhen Qinzan's words, Chen Ronghuo's eyes lit up slightly. Zhen Qinzan originally had excellent talent. If his cultivation speed was accelerated several times, he might be able to catch up with Huang Lin's cultivation speed after he obtained half of the snake tail of the Jiatuo snake mother. Mid-stage 6. However, when he thought of the strength that the person who made it described by Zhen Qinzan might have, he frowned slightly. If that person really has such a strong strength with the help of the formation, he might not be his opponent now. My strength is still too weak. Chen Ronghuo shook his head secretly. Originally, after breaking through to the late 5th stage, he was full of blood and wanted to take over the deep blue sea in one fell swoop and become the Lord of Deep Blue. And use this to obtain the breath of the Law of Calamity, and further improve his cultivation to reach the peak of the 5th stage. But he didn't expect that he would suffer such a blow as soon as he came out of retreat. It seems that I can only keep this ration for my help when I plan to break through to become a 6th level cultivator. Chen Ronghuo narrowed his eyes. He was unwilling in his heart, but he knew that this time, he was afraid that he had to avoid the limelight first. The 6th level mid-stage cultivator was not yet his match. But this day will not be too far away. Chen Ronghuo took a deep breath, notify them to speed up the transfer of the people in Wooding territory. Yes. Zhenkinzan responded. Immediately, Chen Ronghuo's order was quickly passed down. Most of the people in Wooding territory had already been transferred. After receiving Chen Ronghuo's order, it took only more than 10 minutes for the remaining people to be transferred to the River Crab Plain. All those who spy on my life will have their eyes stung, blurred, and blind, and poisonous sores on their bodies, and at the same time they will forget everything. Chen Ronghuo held the pearl of disaster, stood on the back of the big river crab, and chanted. Boom! And in his chanting, the big river crab sank its huge body to the bottom of the sea according to his instructions. At this time, not only the new people who joined the river crab territory were transferred to the river crab plain. Even the original river crab territory people were transferred to the river crab plain. So when the big river crab was diving, it didn't even need to raise the black and white fog. It hurts. It hurts so much. My eyes. But just as the big river crab was diving, the newly sent human cultivators from other territories who were spying on the river crab territory, as well as other nearby lives that looked at the river crab territory from time to time, all felt severe pain in their eyes. Chen Ronghuo faintly heard countless wailing sounds, felt the faint feedback of the law of calamity, and shook his head. Soon, the big river crab sank to the bottom of the sea. Keep going down. Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed, and while using the ancient book to seal all the breath of the river crab territory, he ordered the big river crab. Boom! After receiving Chen Ronghuo's order, the big river crab did not hesitate at all, and directly used the law of earth, and began to escape its huge body to the earth plate at the bottom of the sea. It is huge in size, but after refining the initial plane of the earth attribute, it has a deeper control over the laws of earth, and can already escape into the earth. Of course, compared to other beings, it is undoubtedly much slower to perform the earth escape technique. However, it only took a few tens of seconds for the huge size of the river crab to disappear without a trace in this area, without a trace of breath remaining. I wonder what his expression will be like when the 6th level formation mage attacks with the 9 islands and finds that the river crab collar has disappeared. Under the sea, Chen Ronghuo thought interestingly. But that's not the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is that if that person cannot find him and chooses not to leave here, but directly stops the 9 fused islands above the sea area, then when his cultivation level breaks through again and he can control the big river crab, the most interesting time is when you emerge from the bottom of the sea. Chen Ronghuo exhaled slowly, passed through the space channel opened by the big river crab, and returned to the Holy Tiger sect in a flash. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, just when Chen Ronghuo's figure appeared in the Holy Tiger sect's own secret room, his ears moved and he heard 12 strange bells in succession. What's going on? Chen Ronghuo frowned. The sound of this bell is completely different from the loud, deep, and crisp sound of the bell of the Holy Tiger sect that summons disciples. Instead, it reaches people's hearts, giving people a sense of frightening fear. Chen Ronghuo tightened the black and red robe tightly with his hands. Inexplicably, he felt the air around him was a little cold. As a late 5th level cultivator, it was simply unbelievable that he would feel cold. Go out and take a look first. Chen Ronghuo walked out. When he reached the door, he stretched out his hand, grabbed the door handle, and was about to open the door and walk out. But as soon as his hand touched the doorknob, his eyes suddenly froze. The doorknob he was holding was actually rusty, and it was still the kind of blood-red rust. Something happened. Chen Ronghuo's heart suddenly sank. Without the need for calculations from ancient books, he had already guessed that something had happened to the sect with an 8th level peak powerhouse in charge. As for using ancient books to calculate, he has already tried it for the first time. However, he found that the energy required to figure this out was beyond what he could afford, so he wanted to go out and see what was going on in the Black Tiger faction. Tick-tock. Suddenly, the sound of water drops falling to the ground sounded from behind him. At the same time, there was also a chilling chill that touched all of Chen Ronghuo's exposed skin, causing goosebumps to appear on his powerful body. Pretend to be a ghost. Chen Ronghuo turned his head suddenly, evil spirit bursting out of his eyes. His eyes fell on the place where the sound came from, and he immediately saw that the source of the sound of water falling to the ground was the bright red blood seeping out from the edge of the roof next to the wall at the back and falling to the ground. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. When Chen Ronghuo looked over, the blood seeping out from the gap on the edge was already flooding out like a flood after a dam burst. A large amount of blood was left along the wall in the blink of an eye. And there were strange blood marks left on the wall. Die. Chen Ronghuo's eyes fell on the wall, and he immediately saw that after the blood stains gathered together, they turned into a weird red and black word death. Bang. At this moment, the door behind Chen Ronghuo was suddenly hit by something. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 370. Blood of Fear, strange blood generated by the radiation of the fear field of the artifact Fear Bell. After absorbing enough fear fluctuations, it can transform into a bloodskin demon and take people's lives. The more fear it absorbs, the stronger the bloodskin demon it becomes. Fear Bell? What the hell? Chen Ronghuo stood in front of the door of the secret room, and after identifying the blood seeping from the wall and the top of the secret room, his brows locked. Bang, bang, bang. At this time, the sound of hitting the door of the secret room from outside the door of the secret room behind him became heavier. Even the door specially refined by the formation master was deformed by the collision. It seemed that something outside was about to break in. Let's see what's going on outside first. Chen Ronghuo turned around, put his hand back on the door handrail with dark red rust, and twisted it hard. Whoosh! At the same time, a thick black-red flame swept out from under his feet, and when it swept to the end of the secret room wall, it suddenly spread upwards. Woo woo woo. Accompanied by some kind of crying and wailing, the bright red blood that seeped down from above was instantly swept away. Creak. The door of the secret room was opened by Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo looked out from the open door of the secret room, but saw nothing outside. It was just like what had just hit his secret room was just a ball of air. However, after walking out of the secret room, Chen Ronghuo felt that the air around him seemed to have dropped a few degrees. At the same time, Chen Ronghuo also found that many of the wall skins on both sides of the corridor outside the secret room had fallen off in large pieces, as if no one had taken care of it for many years. However, just a day ago, he roughly estimated the Holy Tiger sect. Knowing that a day ago, the Holy Tiger sect definitely did not have such a change. He probed out his soul power, but found that he didn't know what was affecting it. His soul power could only be probed out for more than 10 meters. Once it exceeded more than 10 meters, the soul power he probed out would be twisted by some force. This situation also means that the maximum distance for him to perform various secret techniques here is only more than 10 meters. 5-Direction God Magic Formation Field. The army of Tiangu territory, with the cooperation of the messenger of the Temple of Trap holding the Bell of Fear, invaded the 5-faction alliance. The 7th level and above practitioners of the 5-faction alliance jointly opened the God level incomplete formation, the 5-Direction God Magic Formation. Under the field of the incomplete 5-direction God magic formation, the sole power of the practitioners and various means of attack will only work as far as 15 meters away. Beyond 15 meters, all means of attack will be moved out of the 5-direction God magic formation. 7th level and above practitioners entering the 5-direction God magic formation will stimulate the formation, causing the formation to counter-attack fiercely and launch a fatal attack. At the same time, practitioners flying in the 5-direction God magic formation may also provoke a fierce reaction from the formation. In addition, every once in a while, the cultivators in the 5 directions God confusing array will be moved under the spontaneous operation of the array. Tiangu territory. Trap temple. Invasion. Chen Ronghuo's heart jumped. Huh. He exhaled, crumpled the 2-world map that he took out immediately after discovering the accident here, held it in his hand, and then took a step and walked out slowly. Suddenly, all the sounds in the corridor disappeared. Even Chen Ronghuo's own footsteps disappeared. At the same time, a numbing cold touch suddenly appeared on Chen Ronghuo's neck, as if something with a cold tongue was licking him. It's fun, isn't it? Chen Ronghuo, who had been waiting for a long time, suddenly stretched out his big hand against the laws of the human body, opened his 5 fingers, and formed a tiger claw. The power of the law appeared, and he grabbed a dark object in front of him. This is a dark figure without facial features. Faceless ghost, 4th order early stage. The demons radiated from the radiation field of the fear bell can absorb fear to grow. After being caught by Chen Ronghuo, it immediately began to struggle frantically. Chen Ronghuo was a little surprised after feeling the strength of the figure's struggle and identifying the properties of this thing through the ancient book. In such a short time, has a 4th order demon been created? Huh! The black and red flames emanated from Chen Ronghuo's palm and spread to the faceless ghost, burning it up in a moment. After the faceless ghost was burned, the surrounding air seemed to be less cold in Chen Ronghuo's feeling. However, I don't know how long the incomplete 5 directions mystic array can last. If it can last longer, it would be good for me. Chen Ronghuo's mind moved slightly and continued to walk out. Under the cover of the 5 directions mystic array, practitioners of the 7th order and above cannot appear, which is a good hunting ground for him. How many troops from the Tiangu territory have come? Bang! When he reached the door of his room, Chen Ronghuo reached out and touched it, and the door of his room fell heavily to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. At the same time, the door itself fell down, and several wooden boards fell off the door. Unlike the door of his secret room, the door here was just an ordinary wooden door. After walking out of the room, Chen Ronghuo looked up at the sky at first glance. The purple light gathered into a sphere as big as the sun that we usually see, like a purple sun, hanging in the sky that seemed infinitely far away and infinitely close. Outside the purple sun, there were endless black clouds in all directions. 5-sided beads of mystery, low-grade artifact. Contains the 5-sided beads of mystery. Cloud of fear, produced by the low-grade artifact Bell of Fear. When Chen Ronghuo saw the purple sphere and the black cloud, he identified the properties of the 2 objects. Low-grade artifact. Chen Ronghuo shook his head and thought of his own bead of disaster. This low-grade artifact is far from comparable to the bead of disaster in terms of level. However, because of his low strength, he has not been able to exert much of the power of the bead of disaster until today. The power of the soul cannot be detected more than 15 meters, and the sound is the same, and you can't fly here. Chen Ronghuo pondered in his heart, thinking about how he could find the invading army of Tiangu territory. Brother Chen, you finally came out of retreat. Suddenly, a voice came from the front. Chen Ronghuo looked up and saw Tao Yuking, who was wearing a silver-white dress and looked a bit embarrassed, and Qin Duanwen and other errand disciples running in from the outer courtyard. Chen Ronghuo glanced at them, and then suddenly set his eyes on a figure in a golden robe following closely behind them. This person was actually Ji Hao. Brother Chen, why did you just come out of retreat? The army of Tiangu territory is attacking. You should bring your errant disciples and come with me. As soon as he saw Chen Ronghuo, Ji Hao spoke anxiously. Thanks to the book friend, life is short for the 10,000 coin reward, and the book friend for the 2,000 coin reward. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 371. Where to go with you? Chen Ronghuo frowned as he looked at Ji Hao, who was anxious. This spies from the Tiangu territory actually came to their Beihu Peak. Chen Ronghuo raised his head and looked at the peak of Beihu Peak in the distance. At this time, the peak of Beihu Peak, which was piercing the sky, was calm. I will take you to a safe place. Ji Hao's eyes flashed. You hurry up and follow me. When you get there, you will know that many disciples of our Shengu sect are there now. A safe place? Chen Ronghuo set his eyes on Ji Hao again. After not seeing each other for 8 years, Ji Hao, like him, also broke through to the 5th level. However, he is now in the late 5th level, but Ji Hao is only in the early 5th level. When Chen Ronghuo was looking at Ji Hao also secretly set his inquiring eyes on Chen Ronghuo. In these 8 years, he and Zhan's Haiping, the 6th senior brother of Chen Ronghuo from Beihu Peak, broke through to the 5th level one after another and became the true disciples of the Shengu sect. At the same time, in the past few years, the two have become the new generation of the Holy Tiger sect. Chen Ronghuo, who was expected by many people earlier, was in seclusion for 8 years, so the people of the Holy Tiger sect thought he had encountered a bottleneck and were very disappointed with him. At the same time, after so much time, the various honors that Chen Ronghuo had achieved in the past have been forgotten by many people. Even if someone occasionally mentions Chen Ronghuo, they compare him with Ji Hao and Zhan's Haiping. But Ji Hao looked at Chen Ronghuo, and a vicious look flashed in the depths of his pupils. He has always remembered the humiliation that Chen Ronghuo brought to him, especially the various humiliations he suffered because of Chen Ronghuo. So this time when the Tiangu territory attacked, he came to the White Tiger Peak as soon as he found the contact person. You just came out of seclusion, and you don't know what happened. Tell me first, what happened, and then I will make a decision. Chen Ronghuo waved his hand, asked Qin Duanwen, Tao Yuking and others to stand behind him, and looked at Ji Hao. Don't know what happened? Ji Hao was startled. He took a closer look at Chen Ronghuo. But he found that he could not see through Chen Ronghuo's cultivation at all. It was as if there was a layer of isolation outside Chen Ronghuo's body, preventing him from spying. In 8 years, he probably broke through to the 5th level like me, but he has the Holy Tiger divine body and has defeated the first 4th level disciple of the 5 Sects Alliance in Wuifangbelan. I may not be his opponent alone. Ji Hao took a deep breath and suppressed the eager desire for revenge in his heart. He continued to pretend, Junior brother, you may not know that a few days ago, the Tiangu territory suddenly sent out a large army to destroy the Demon Dragon territory. Only a small number of the strong men in the Demon Dragon territory escaped. Most of the others were slaughtered by the Tiangu territory. The purpose of the Tiangu territory seemed not to fight for the trump card or wealth. It seemed that they destroyed the Demon Dragon territory just for the purpose of slaughter. I heard that the entire Demon Dragon territory was left with countless bones after being ravaged by the Tiangu territory. Even the ordinary people in the Demon Dragon territory were slaughtered. Chen Ronghuo raised his eyebrows. The Demon Dragon territory was destroyed, and no one from other forces helped. In the northern part of Shenyang territory, the Tiangu territory is the most powerful. At the same time, the Tiangu territory is also one of the 5 major forces in Shenyang territory. The aggressiveness of the Tiangu territory has always been very strong, so the 5 faction alliances in the north, as well as the Demon Dragon territory, Xianming sect and Zhenling city, have all united to fight against the Tiangu territory. Logically, when the Demon Dragon territory was attacked by the Skybone territory, other forces would not help. Ji Hao shook his head. How could other forces not help? However, when the Skybone territory destroyed the Demon Dragon territory, our 5 factions alliance, Xianming sect and Zhenling city, all had people from the Skybone territory and a mysterious force come to stop the strong men from our major forces. At the same time, this time, not only the Demon Dragon territory was destroyed. I heard that a few days ago, the Skybone territory even wanted to take down Zhenling city as well. If it weren't for the arrival of the strong men from the Bishan territory, which is one of the 5 major forces in the Shenyang territory in the south and the Skybone territory, I'm afraid Zhenling city would have ended up like the Demon Dragon territory a few days ago. At this point, Ji Hao paused, and then continued, but even the Bishan territory can't completely stop the Demon Dragon territory. Because this time, it's not the action of a force in Tiangu territory. Rather, there are several mysterious forces acting together with Tiangu territory. I heard from my master that on the day when the Demon Dragon territory was destroyed, even the Lord of Shenyang Tiancheng, the leader of the 5 major forces in the central part of our Shenyang territory, was attacked and killed by a team of strong men and was seriously injured. After destroying the Demon Dragon territory, Tiangu territory then set its sights on our 5 factions alliance. Fortunately, the predecessors of our 5 factions alliance jointly laid a powerful formation to barely block the attack of Tiangu territory. So this shock is not only a shock to our north, but also a shock to the entire Shenyang territory. Hearing Ji Hao's narration, Chen Ronghuo knew what kind of changes had happened in the sealed demon land in the past few days. He was shocked. The Lord of Tiangu territory is a half-step pillar god-level general under the seat of the Lord of Black Demon, and Tiangu god will be resurrected. Then what kind of force is helping the Lord of Tiangu? It is already conceivable. Ji Hao said that this shock was the shock of Shenyang territory. But Chen Ronghuo felt that this shock was probably far more than just affecting Shenyang territory. Maybe more than 100 territories in the sealed demon land would be affected. Lord of the Black Demon. Chen Ronghuo's eyes were deep. His strength improved very quickly. But now, in this major event that affected the entire sealed demon land and even the entire world of gods, he was still just a small pawn. Chen Ronghuo, now you know what happened, right? When Chen Ronghuo was thinking, Ji Hao's face showed anxiety again and said, the army of Tiangu territory has now entered the territory of our 5 factions alliance from all directions. Although we are covered by the formation here, they will not find us easily, but it is better to be safe than sorry. So if you have no other questions, please go to that safe place with me as soon as possible. That is a key place of the formation set up by the predecessors of our 5 factions alliance that I found. We will be much safer there. Much safer. Chen Ronghuo suddenly showed a strange smile on his face. I also know a safe place. No matter how safe the place you said is, it is definitely not as safe as the place I know. The safe place you know. Ji Hao frowned. Yes. Chen Ronghuo nodded and walked towards Ji Hao at the same time. After a few steps, the two of them approached from more than 10 meters away to a few meters away. Looking at Chen Ronghuo getting closer and closer to him, Ji Hao felt a little uneasy in his heart. It was as if the person walking towards him was not Chen Ronghuo, but a terrifying beast in human skin. I don't know where you are talking about. Ji Hao asked after taking a half step back. Where? Chen Ronghuo grinned, of course I'm talking about hell. If you go to hell, you don't have to worry about your safety anymore, right? Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly stretched out his big hand. The law of force and the law of bloodline came out at the same time. The cultivation of the 5th stage in the late stage, burst out with all his strength. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chaoji Dupang. Chapter 372. Deep Blue Sea. 9 islands including the Kishan territory, Wanliu territory, and Zio territory collided and merged together. At this time, the 9 islands were only more than 100 miles away from the original Wuding territory. Not here? Over the whirlpool of Bell spirit energy at the core of Qi Tianling, Gu Yuan looked in the direction of Wu Dingling from a distance, frowning slightly. For a 6th level cultivator, 100 miles can be crossed with just one thought. Gu Yuan closed his eyes. Boom. A moment later, the merged huge island seemed like a terrifying giant beast rushing out of the deep sea. Without any hesitation, it crashed into Wuding Island with a roar. The entire Wuding Island was smashed into pieces. It was not until Wuding Island was smashed into pieces that this huge island suddenly stopped and occupied the original position of Wuding Island. Gu Yuan opened his eyes and scanned the islands where the other 8 territories centered on the Kishan territory were located, his eyes flashing with light. In his opinion, Xia leader and Chen Ronghuo were indeed threats. But his top priority is to integrate the 9 islands and use them for his own use. Thus, with the help of the power of faith in the 9 territories, the cultivation level will be further improved. But he didn't know that just when he drove 9 islands to smash Wuding Island, and huge rocks fell to the bottom of the sea, under the huge plates of the bottom of the sea, a pair of huge stone eyes seemed to be able to see through. Looking through the layers of earth and rocks, I glanced at him. I'm still too young. The big river crab looked at the 9 huge islands floating above and opened his mouth, as if he was thinking whether he could swallow this huge thing in one bite. After just a moment, it showed a sad expression. No, I can't despair. I still have potential, I can still grow even bigger. After a while, the big river crab made up his mind. It has grown from the size of a table all the way to where it is today. Doesn't it rely on perseverance, huh? Suddenly, just when the big river crab was gritting its teeth and preparing to practice day and night, with a thought in its mind, it moved its large black pliers and dug out an earthy yellow stone of more than 10 cubic meters from the ground. What is this? Dahi crab was confused. This thing, even if it used its huge pliers to clamp it, could not be crushed in one go. Are there any rocks that I can't crush? The big river crab started to exert force. The first time I exerted my strength, the stone is not broken. The second time I tried hard, the stone is still not broken. The third time you push hard, click. A crisp sound sounded from the stone. Immediately, Dahi crab saw that as a crack opened on the earth yellow stone, countless earth attribute spiritual energy overflowed from it. What a pure earth attributed spiritual energy! The big river crab's eyes suddenly lit up. Click. Then without any hesitation, it directly used its large pliers to throw the stone into its mouth. Luck is sometimes also a kind of strength. As for perseverance, let's talk about this later. The big river crab closed his eyes and began to enjoy the unexpected delicious food. It smells so good. Chen Ronghuo in the demon-sealed land had no idea that Dahi crab just casually shook it with his pliers and produced a treasure. At this time, he looked at Jihao, who was trying to gain his trust through various means. He stretched out his big hand and grabbed Jihao. In the past, because of his relationship with the Holy Tiger sect, he watched Jihao act like a clown in front of him again and again, jumping up and down, and had to choose to endure it. But now, he has no patience to bear it any longer. Boom! Having reached the late 5th level of cultivation, together with the law of force and the law of blood, Chen Ronghuo's big hand surged several times in an instant, arriving in front of Jihao like a terrifying demon. You! Jihao's face changed wildly. He never thought that Chen Ronghuo would suddenly attack him. But the most important thing was the power that Chen Ronghuo showed when he took action that made his heart palpitate. Late 5th level. How could it be the late 5th level? Chen Ronghuo has been in seclusion for 8 years. Everyone thought that he was unable to break through to the 5th level because he encountered a bottleneck. The same goes for Jihao. But now, he knows that he was wrong. Boom! Ji Hao gritted his teeth, and countless golden lights bloomed from his body, gathering into the shadow of a golden tiger. He raised his fist, and with a roar, he struck Chen Ronghuo with the pure golden tiger shadow. Click, click, click. The sound of bones breaking came and went. It's like the red earth during the new year. In an instant, the flesh and blood on Ji Hao's arm was lifted up layer by layer by the huge power of Chen Ronghuo's punch, revealing the white bones. But just for a moment, the bones in Ji Hao's arm were broken every inch. It was as if the flow of time had accelerated tens of millions of times. Visible to the naked eye, his broken bones were instantly weathered. It turned into powder and flew to the ground. Waste. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded from behind Ji Hao. When this voice sounded, a figure with countless bone barbs on its joints suddenly appeared behind Ji Hao. After this figure appeared, he immediately stretched out his big hand with 7 or 8 joints and grabbed Chen Ronghuo's chest. Chen Ronghuo was startled by this man's weird body and quickly identified his attributes using ancient books. Skybone Demon Hong Shiki, a former soldier of the Skybone territory, he was transformed into a Skybone demon after being jarred by the Skybone demon Qi, half a step to the 6th level. Half a step to the 6th level? He is only half a step to the 6th level, is he so arrogant? Chen Ronghuo felt that he was just scared by this man, which was simply a shame. Seeing that this Skybone demon was about to grab his chest with one claw, he straightened his chest, and his momentum burst out again. The big hand that was originally bombarding Ji Hao turned against the laws of the human body and met the attack of the Skybone demon. The Sky Demon disintegration method burst out. The natural disaster demon flame covered. The soul pressure surged. The law of disaster deprived the luck. The disaster pearl rotated, and the curse law invaded people without leaving any gaps. Envoy Hong, kill him. At this time, the whole arm was blown away by Chen Ronghuo, and Ji Hao, who escaped from Chen Ronghuo's hands because of the appearance of the Skybone demon, roared hysterically. For a 5th level cultivator, a broken arm is nothing. He has many ways to make his arm grow again. But the terrifying power of Chen Ronghuo's punch just now has almost become his nightmare. Now as long as he closes his eyes, his head is full of Chen Ronghuo's punch just now. Adding new hatreds and old hatreds together, he already hates Chen Ronghuo. He wishes Chen Ronghuo would be torn into pieces right in front of him. Boom! At this moment, Chen Ronghuo's attack has collided with the attack of the Skybone demon. A loud bang exploded in the void. The next moment, Ji Hao, who was expecting Chen Ronghuo to be blown up by the Skybone demon, saw that the Skybone demon, who he had placed infinite hope on and called him a waste as soon as he arrived, was like a broken sack and was directly beaten back by Chen Ronghuo. Even when the Skybone demon was flying backwards, Chen Ronghuo's figure was still chasing after him like lightning, and he stepped out with one foot and directly stepped on the Skybone demon under his feet. Ji Hao was stunned in the spot. The envoy of the Skybone territory was a half-step 6th level cultivator. A half-step 6th level cultivator was defeated by Chen Ronghuo with just one blow? Are there any more? At this time, after Chen Ronghuo confirmed that the Skybone demon had been stepped on to death by him, he turned his head and looked at Ji Hao expectantly. What? Ji Hao was a little unresponsive for a while. I mean, are there any more guys like this? If there are any, it's better to give me another dozen. Thanks to the book friend Tianyanyan for another 1000 coin reward, and the book friend Dongfang Shenlong for 200 coins reward. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 373. No. No more. Ji Hao said in fear, I only called him over, I really only called him over. He was incoherent, obviously frightened by the strength Chen Ronghuo had just shown. No more. Chen Ronghuo frowned. Since it's gone, why are you still alive? Boom. Chen Ronghuo grabbed the sky with his left hand, and the body of the sky bone demon fell into his hand. This humanoid monster, who was so confident and cold when he appeared before, was completely dead. There was no trace of life on his body. Chen Ronghuo's true strength after using the Pearl of Disaster could have reached the half-step 6th level. And the ancient book is a stronger treasure than the Pearl of Disaster. Chen Ronghuo used the seal page of the ancient book to perform the sealing technique. If he still couldn't take down the sky bone demon in an instant, then he didn't need to practice anymore. Below the 6th level, Chen Ronghuo is almost invincible. Only cultivators like Xuanhuan and Wang Chao, who can challenge others at a higher level, can fight with him for a while when they reach the half-step 6th level. Chen Ronghuo grabbed the body of the sky bone demon and strode towards Ji Hao. His speed was getting faster and faster. At the same time, his law of tribulation had already been fully activated. Ji Hao's luck was completely deprived. Everything has luck. Without luck, the whole world will be against it. Chen Ronghuo used the law of tribulation to deprive Ji Hao of his luck. Ji Hao was like a fish that jumped out of the water. All the laws of power that permeated between heaven and earth rushed towards him and began to oppress him. Ji Hao felt uncomfortable for no reason, and his consciousness was in a trance. In addition, Chen Ronghuo used the soul law to deliberately create a terrifying atmosphere. Even Ji Hao, who had cultivated to the 5th level, was frightened by Chen Ronghuo for a while and his legs trembled. He wanted to escape, but he was powerless. Huh. The lifeless skybone demon suddenly turned into a bubble and disappeared from Chen Ronghuo's hand shortly after being held in Chen Ronghuo's left hand. As if he had never appeared. At the same time, the next moment, Chen Ronghuo's empty big hand brought a gust of wind and arrived in front of Ji Hao in the blink of an eye. His attack was aimed at Ji Hao's neck. No. At this time, Ji Hao finally recovered from Chen Ronghuo's shock. He raised his remaining arm in fear to block Chen Ronghuo, while holding a glimmer of hope and shouting, "I can help you, I am the hidden man of the Skybone territory in the Holy Tiger sect. Whatever you want to do, I can help you." Bang! After swinging away Ji Hao's interception, Chen Ronghuo's big hand grabbed Ji Hao's neck. The powerful force made him seem to be holding not a person, not a 5th-level cultivator, but a disobedient chicken. Ji Hao was caught by him. "Help me," Chen Ronghuo's eyes showed a hint of interest, "can you attract more practitioners from the Tiangu territory?" "I can." Looking at Chen Ronghuo, who was so close and as terrifying as a demon, Ji Hao endured the pain and humiliation and said hoarsely. Bang! Chen Ronghuo threw Ji Hao to the ground. "Crazy! Crazy!" Ji Hao fell to the ground and looked up at Chen Ronghuo, who was casting a shadow. His heartbeat accelerated countless times, without any sign of stopping. Facing the attack from the Tiangu territory, most people would not have time to avoid it. He never thought that Chen Ronghuo actually wanted him to attract more practitioners from the Tiangu territory. What on earth was this guy thinking? Was he really not afraid of death? Damn! How did I provoke such a monster? "I will fulfill your wish, I will fulfill your wish. How many people do you want? I will bring you as many people as you want. If half a step to the 6th level is not enough, I will bring you a 6th level strongman." Ji Hao's eyebrows were gloomy, and all kinds of dark thoughts came into his mind. He knew that if he was not still useful to Chen Ronghuo would definitely not let him go. "I want to see how many demons from the Tiangu territory you can kill, a madman. Or, you will eventually be torn to pieces by the demons from the Tiangu territory." Ji Hao's eyes were cold. It was just that Chen Ronghuo could guess Ji Hao's thoughts without thinking too much. He set his eyes on Jihao, who fell not far from his feet, and said coldly, "I ask you, where are my master and several of my brothers and sisters?" The five-direction God-confusing array can not only lose the power of the soul, lose the sound, but also distort the vision. With Chen Ronghuo's eyesight, he can see thousands of meters away and the top of the White Tiger Peak, but he can't see clearly farther. But he could not see any traces in the scope of White Tiger Peak. In the sect square, all the peak masters, all the true disciples, core disciples, and most of the inner and outer disciples are in the Holy Tiger Square. Jihao did not dare to hide. Before the attack of Tiangu territory, the Holy Tiger sect noticed it and urgently summoned all the disciples together to announce the next strategy to fight the enemy. Halfway through his words, Jihao paused before continuing, "Because I saw that you did not come, I guessed that you should still be in seclusion, so I left the sect square first." Chen Ronghuo used the ancient book to make a brief calculation, and after knowing that what Jihao said was true, he finally showed a trace of relief on his face. Before, when he saw that he had made such a big noise here, the entire White Tiger Peak did not react at all, and his heart sank, thinking that something had happened to the White Tiger Peak. His master Lin Qingtian, senior brother Lv Moning, third sister Jin Qingxian, and fourth brother Pang Yun were all quite good to him. He was not a ruthless person, so he naturally did not want to see them get into trouble. "Junior brother Qin, junior sister Tao, come here." Chen Ronghuo turned his head and looked at Qin Duanwen, Tao Yuking, and others. The five-direction God magic formation was set up by all the high-level leaders of the Five Sects Alliance, and it covers a very wide range. The territory of the Holy Tiger sect alone is hundreds of thousands of miles. Therefore, this huge formation spanning the five sects almost covers an area of more than 1 million miles. The power of the God-level formation can be seen. Chen Ronghuo knew that he would most likely have to hunt the cultivators who attacked the Tiangu territory in this huge map of more than 1 million miles for a long time. In this case, he obviously had no way to bring Qin Duanwen and other miscellaneous disciples with him. But these people have been with him for such a long time, so he naturally won't abandon them. "Brother Chen." Qin Duanwen and others came up nervously. They looked at Chen Ronghuo and Jihao, who fell to the ground without an arm, and the shocked expressions on their faces have not subsided until now. For 8 years, others thought that Chen Ronghuo had encountered a bottleneck in his retreat and had not broken through to the 5th level in 8 years. They thought so too. But just now, Jihao and Chen Ronghuo's battle revealed Chen Ronghuo's current true cultivation level, the late 5th level. Chen Ronghuo's 8 years of retreat were not what others imagined, and he did not break through to the 5th level. Instead, after breaking through to the 5th level, he broke through to the middle 5th level, and then broke through to the late 5th level. After breaking through to a major realm in retreat, he did not come out, but continued to practice, breaking through 2 small realms in succession. At this time, Qin Duanwen and other errant disciples who had followed Chen Ronghuo for a long time showed shame on their faces. Martial madman, cultivation maniac. They once again thought of the various labels they had defined for Chen Ronghuo in the past, and they couldn't help but admire him. The Holy Tiger sect is no longer safe. Next, I will send you to a safe place. Chen Ronghuo looked at these people and said lightly. Qin Duanwen and others are just errant disciples of the Holy Tiger section. When the sect encounters a major event and summons all the disciples of the sect, the errant disciples do not have to go to the sect square together with other disciples. Because errant disciples are dispensable to the sect. When the Tiangu territory attacked, these errant disciples were almost abandoned by the Holy Tiger sect. It was for this reason that Chen Ronghuo could see them after the retreat. A safe place? Everyone showed doubts, not knowing where the safe place Chen Ronghuo was talking about was. When the Tiangu territory attacked, where else was there a safe place? Wow! At this moment, Chen Ronghuo's hand trembled, and he unfolded the black and white two-world map. After tearing it, a space channel more than one person high opened in front of him. Chen Ronghuo's eyes flickered. This space channel was obviously much smaller than the space channel that could be opened by the two-world map before. He knew that this must be the result of the dual effects of the fear field and the five-sided bewildering array. How is this possible? However, after Jihao saw the space channel opened by Chen Ronghuo, his brain suddenly went blank, as if all his thoughts were erased by an eraser. He knew the horror of the five-sided bewildering array. Before, in the square of the Holy Tiger sect, the senior leaders of the Holy Tiger sect had said that as long as the five-sided bewildering array was not broken, practitioners above the 7th level would not be able to enter here. At the same time, the power of the secret arts and secret treasures involving space would be greatly reduced, or even unable to be used. However, he did not know that this space channel was completely opened up by the big river crab with the terrifying power of the double spears of the power god. The power god's twin spears are a divine weapon that is much higher in level than the 5 directions mystic god pearl. It is also perfectly matched with the big river crab. Even if the big river crab cannot fully exert its power, it is not a problem to use it to open up a small space channel in the 5 directions mystic god formation. At the same time, seeing this sudden appearance of the space channel, not only Jihao was shocked. Qin Duanwen, Tao Yuking, and others also opened their mouths wide, showing a look of astonishment. Huh! Suddenly, when Qin Duanwen and other errand disciples showed shock, Chen Ronghuo suddenly waved his hand and pulled them all in front of him, bursting out a clever force, pushing all of them through the space channel created by the two realms map to the other side of the river crab territory. After the big river crab broke through to the late 5th stage, its strength was further enhanced, and it could already create more than a dozen two realms maps at a time. So Chen Ronghuo had more than one two realms map in his hand. After sending Qin Duanwen and others away, Chen Ronghuo turned his head and his eyes fell on Jihao again. If you don't want to die, don't resist. Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed fiercely, and then a dark black light shot out from his eyebrows and shot straight at Jihao. Jihao was stunned, and there was a struggle in his eyes. But this struggle lasted only for a moment and turned into decadence. He knew what Chen Ronghuo was going to do. He could struggle, he could also resist. But he knew that the consequence of his resistance would only be death. Call out. In a moment, the dark light from Chen Ronghuo's eyebrows shot into the sea of Jihao's soul. A large array of black runes was formed inside, covering Jihao's entire soul sea. This move was the 33-day soul-suppressing secret technique that Chen Ronghuo had previously used on the possessed demon. For the time being, he wants to use Jihao to find enemies with enough cultivation for him to kill, so he must have Jihao in his hands perfectly. Only in this way can he have no worries. As for using Jihao, he only needs to take back some of the soul cores that entered Jihao's soul sea. This thing can be used repeatedly. In fact, he can also use ancient books to find enemies. But his current cultivation level is still too low. Under the influence of the 5 directions mystical formation, if he wanted to use the ancient book to find the half-step 6th level cultivator who was most suitable for him to kill, he would have to consume the energy of the ancient book itself. It was precisely for this reason that he chose to let Jihao live for a while longer. Call. After doing this, Chen Ronghuo suddenly stepped forward, squatted down, grabbed Jihao's collar, and arrested him. There was only half a meter between his face and Jihao. Jihao could even feel Chen Ronghuo's hot breath. Now go and help me bring all the half-step 6th level cultivators from Tiangu territory to me like that just now. How many there are, lead me as many as you want. Your talent is quite good, and if you perform well, I wouldn't mind taking you as my real subordinate. I believe you are a smart man, right? Chen Ronghuo looked at Jihao and said coldly. At this time, he gave people an extremely domineering feeling. In conjunction with his use of soul-like secret techniques, the pressure exerted on him immediately made Jihao feel like two sides were fighting. Buzz. Suddenly, a vibration sounded from the heaven and the earth. Chen Ronghuo felt like the world was spinning. Soon he found himself suddenly in a valley where he didn't know where he was. Is this the random movement of the five directions mystical formation? Chen Ronghuo narrowed his eyes. Originally, he was still thinking about whether he should go to see his master Lin Qingtian and several senior brothers and sisters, but in this situation, he obviously no longer has to think about it. Then he looked at his hands. I saw that Jihao was also caught in this valley by himself when the five directions mysterious formation was launched. Not long after, Jihao left the valley under Chen Ronghuo's arrangement. He has a special way to contact the monsters in the Tiangu territory near him. Chen Ronghuo stood under a withered tree in the valley, watched Jihao leave, and took a deep breath. This invasion of Tiangu territory is a crisis for the Five Factions Alliance. But if he can arrange it well, this incident can also be an opportunity for him to rise in this world. The Holy Tiger sect has 13 6th level peak masters, plus the 6th level masters from other factions in the Five Factions Alliance. The number of 6th level masters should be more than 60 or 70. And this does not include the 6th level demon pets raised by various sects. Under this situation, if Tiangu territory wants to win over the Five Factions Alliance, it is estimated that it will have to send at least 100 strong men of level 6 or above. 100 strong men of level 6 or above are not too many within a range of more than 1,000,000 miles. But Chen Ronghuo estimated that as long as he killed 2 more ordinary 6th level practitioners, he would be able to advance to the peak of 5th level. For a half-step 6th level cultivator, only 15 or 16 would be enough. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 374. 5th level peak. There was a look of expectation in Chen Ronghuo's eyes. Now, under the 6th level, he is almost invincible. But without the blessing of the territory, he cannot burn the power of faith. Against ordinary 6th level practitioners, he has no problem keeping his life. But it's a bit difficult to fight head-on with it. However, once his cultivation reaches the peak of the 5th level, he will be a 6th level cultivator. He will dare to fight with him head-on, and he might even be able to win. And 6th level cultivators, even in the demon-sealed land, are not small players. This can be understood by looking at the fact that there were only 13 6th level peak masters in the previous Holy Tiger sect. Chen Ronghuo stood under the withered tree in the valley, watching Jihao gradually walk out of the valley, his eyes flickering. Most secret arts, under the cover of the Five Directions mysterious god formation, will be distorted beyond the formation beyond 15 meters. But the 33-day soul-suppressing technique he used in Jihao's Soul Sea was not affected by this. Because after using this secret technique, he does not need to release a ray of soul power all the time to connect with the ray of soul power in Jihao's Soul Sea. But with just a thought, he could control the soul core in Jihao's Soul Sea. Because the two are actually connected through a strange, telepathic resonance. Just when Chen Ronghuo was thinking this, Jihao, who had lost an arm and left the valley in a state of embarrassment, suddenly turned his head after walking out of the valley and glanced coldly deep into the valley. What he was looking at was Chen Ronghuo, who was already out of sight. No one can. Buzz. Suddenly, just when he was thinking about how to find a way to kill Chen Ronghuo if he broke away from Chen Ronghuo's shackles, Yi Shui felt the hatred in his heart. In his soul sea, a large sea of runes constructed with strange soul power suddenly buzzed and vibrated in his soul sea. His entire soul sea fell into chaos in a short period of time. His consciousness went blank. It was as if his head no longer belonged to him. How is it possible? By the time Jihao recovered from the confusion in his mind, his expression had become extremely ugly. Amidst the ugliness, there is also confusion, panic, and fear. He knew that in the Five Directions mystical formation, it was difficult for the power of the soul to reach 15 meters. So when Chen Ronghuo used means in his soul sea, he was wondering whether he could use this to break the means Chen Ronghuo used in his Soul Sea. But he didn't expect that the secret technique used by Chen Ronghuo was not limited by distance at all. In the valley far away, Chen Ronghuo waited in the valley after shocking Ji Hao through the 33-day soul-suppressing technique. He didn't follow Ji Hao. Although he can hide his aura, in a special environment like the Five Directions Mystic Formation, even he cannot guarantee that he will not be discovered by others. Once discovered, it is not good to alert the snake. As for the calculation ability using ancient books, it would be too expensive. He also wants to retain the energy of the ancient book and use it to deal with powerful practitioners. I hope you can bring me more people at once. Chen Ronghuo knew that he didn't have much time to take advantage of Ji Hao. Because the Five Directions Mystic Formation will be activated from time to time, everyone in the formation will change their positions immediately. Once Ji Hao is not with him the next time the Five Directions Mystic Formation is activated, Ji Hao may be teleported hundreds of thousands of miles away by the Five Directions Mystic Formation. A distance of hundreds of thousands of miles is nothing to a cultivator of level 5 or above. However, there are many dangers in the Five Directions Mystic Formation, and most of them, including him, probably don't dare to run around here. But compared to others, Chen Ronghuo has a huge advantage here that no one else has. At this time, Ji Hao, who was more than 10 miles away from the valley, took a deep breath, turned his hand, and took out a bone-white bead from the storage ring. This bead was the certificate that he used to contact the people who invaded the Five Factions Alliance from the Tiangu territory. It was refined by special means and no one else could control it except him. Even if others get this bead, they can't use it. Holding the pale bone bead, Ji Hao thought, and the bone bead emitted a strange wave, which was transmitted to the distance. This bone bead is also a rare treasure. Although it cannot be compared with Chen Ronghuo's 33-day soul-suppressing technique, it can still transmit the waves emitted in the Five Directions Confusion Formation to thousands of meters away. According to the information released by Ji Hao, as long as cultivators below the 6th level and above the late 5th level in the Tiangu territory within a few kilometers range sense this wave, they will follow the wave and come to him. While Ji Hao continued to let the bone beads emit this kind of fluctuation, he continued to walk forward. On the surface, he is a true disciple of the Holy Tiger sect. Secretly, he is the secret agent behind the Tiangu territory's infiltration into the Holy Tiger sect. Therefore, no matter who he encounters in the entire Five Directions Mystic Formation, he does not have to worry. But a half-step 6th level cultivator, even in the Tiangu territory, is not a cabbage. Moreover, half of the cultivators at this level will not go out, but will find ways to break through to the 6th level. Therefore, the cultivators of this level sent by the Tiangu territory into the Five-Sect Alliance army may be similar to the 6th level cultivators. There are about 100 people. It is precisely because of this that Chen Ronghuo let Ji Hao and the late 5th level practitioners not let go. The cultivators in the late 5th level are at the same level as Chen Ronghui, so they are not too weak. If quality is not enough, quantity is the key. Killing more cultivators of this level will also have a certain effect on Chen Ronghuo. Compared with half-step 6th level and 6th level cultivators, there are many more 5th level cultivators in the army sent by the Tiangu territory into the Five Factions Alliance. It is estimated that the total number of people must be over 1,000. Because all the 5th level and above cultivators in the Five Sects Alliance have these. Not long. Ji Hao, who was walking in the mountains and forests, heard movement from one side. He held the bone bead and stopped where he was. After a while, a skybone demon with barbs all over his body rushed over. "What's going on?" The heavenly bone demon asked coldly when he saw the bone bead in Ji Hao's hand and the fact that he was missing an arm. "When I summoned an envoy before, I was seen by someone from the Holy Tiger sect, but that person was already beaten to death by the envoy." Ji Hao began to lie, "I am summoning you and others this time." Because just after the 5 directions mysterious god formation was activated, I discovered the hiding place of several disciples of the 5-sex alliance. It's just that there are not only a dozen 5th level cultivators there, but also 2 half-step 6th level cultivators. The heavenly bone human demon didn't think much after hearing Ji Hao's explanation. The Tiangu territory has penetrated into the Anzi bodies of various factions, and they all have powerful means. These methods are enough to make all Anzi dare not betray the Tiangu territory. Then, Ji Hao spent another half-hour running tens of thousands of miles, and using the same method, he gathered more than 20 late 5th level cultivators and above from the Tiangu territory, and 2 half-step 6th level cultivators. During this period, he also met some disciples from the 5 factions alliance. However, all the disciples of the 5 factions alliance he met were killed without any surprise by the demons from the Tiangu territory who were following him. These demons in the Tiangu territory turned into Tiangu humans and demons, and they attacked the 5 factions alliance, seemingly just to kill the disciples of the 5 factions. That's enough, the people gathered are almost there. If you wait, the small gathering place of the 5 factions alliance you found will be empty. Suddenly, after 2 more late-level 5th level Skybone human demons joined, a half-step 6th level Skybone human demon said coldly to Ji Hao. Good. Ji Hao gritted his teeth. These days, the skeleton humans and demons have lost their original human form, as if they have changed into a different race. They have something in common with each other. But facing Ji Hao, there was an invisible feeling of contempt. It was as if Ji Hao was an anomaly. Damn it, go to hell. Ji Hao's expression was gloomy. He was now being restricted on both sides, with constraints everywhere, and his heart was almost in a state of confusion. Unlike the last time he was caught by the Shenhu faction, this time, he knew that he might really be doomed. Especially when he thought of Chen Ronghuo's ruthless eyes, his heart began to tremble. He vaguely guessed that as long as he was no longer useful, Chen Ronghuo might kill him immediately. But when he is finished, he will drag everyone with him to be buried with him. Especially Chen Ronghuo. Ji Hao began to lead a group of people back quickly along the way they came. On the way back, he gathered another dozen people. One of them is a half-step 6th level heavenly bone human demon. Arrived, right here. The gathering point of the 5-faction alliance I mentioned is in this valley. You can just go in, but there are 2 half-step 6th level practitioners among them, so you'd better be careful. Ji Hao said with a smile on his face. It's just 2.5 steps to the 6th level. All the heavenly bones humans and demons are gearing up. If it is true as Ji Hao said, there are only a dozen 5th level cultivators and 2.5 step 6th level cultivators in this valley. They swarmed up and slaughtered all the people inside in no time. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Soon, a group of people rushed into the valley. I failed to reach the goal of 10,000 words on the first day. I missed the target by 3,000 words. I'm crying. I'll continue to work hard tomorrow.